Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's a girl CLASSYMEALI and I'm back with another video. So I've been wanting to do a green set of my fingers. Like me I get full of green now, so never do a green set on my finger. Like why not? Stay tuned. Oh, and don't forget to like the video, comment and subscribe.
I was born to two genius parents who were masters of their craft. My mom was a big corporate lawyer, and her work mostly kept her away from home. But I didn't miss her at all because I had the best dad in the world to keep me company. He was a genius scientist, and I was like a mini version of him. I loved science too and hung around his workspace all the time. Look, Dad, I found these.
Oh no, honey. Get away from that.
I was really notorious and would cause trouble around the lab all the time.
Where did all the lab rats go? Hazel!
As a result, Dad and his best friends, Mr. Jones, would shut me out of the lab during all their cool experiments, and I'd just hate it. I was 6 and a science genius in my class. I wasn't going to give up so easily, so I went to the kitchen to eat something and fuel my brain. But there I saw a really chubby kid munching on some donuts Dad had bought for me. Hey, you thief! How did you get in here? The kid immediately dropped everything and crawled under the dining table. Tell me who you are right now, or I'm gonna call the cops. He came out shivering and told me his name was Andy. And surprisingly, he was Mr. Jones's son. As we began talking, he told me that he mostly stayed at home with his nanny and didn't really have any friends. And why's that? They all pick on me for looking different, and 'cause I don't have a mom. Suddenly, his eyes went teary, and it kind of melted my heart. Don't worry, I'll be your friend, and if anyone tries to bully you, I'll kick their butts. Before I could finish, he hugged me tight, and in no time, we became the bestest of friends. We even built our own lab and spent all our time playing together. One evening, I was baking a cake to surprise Andy on his 9th birthday when I heard Dad and Mr. Jones arguing. Just then, Mom grabbed Mr. Jones's hand and stormed out of there. What was going on? I went in and Dad burst into tears and hugged me. What happened, Dad? Are you okay?
Oh, sweetie, I think I'm gonna lose it all. All the hard work I put into this one project of my life. Jones is gonna take it away from me, along with your mom.
What? Mr. Jones was stealing Dad's work? And Mom was siding with him? How could she? But before I could ask her, Mom declared that night that she was gonna divorce Dad and take me along with her. And I just couldn't keep my cool. No, Mom, I'm not going anywhere with you. Dad was the one who raised me while you were never here. And now that he needs us, you wanna leave? You're awful. And no, Mom, I'm not going anywhere with you. Dad was the one who raised me while you were never here. And now that he needs us, you want to leave? You're awful. And I hate you. I stormed back to my room while Mom tried to talk to me. I wasn't going to listen to her. A few days later, Mom moved out, and I never got to see her, Mr. Jones, or Andy after that. And it kind of broke my heart. But Dad was more miserable than me. He lost all his money, and we had to move to a much smaller house. After that, Dad spent most of his time in his room, so I tried to come up with ways to cheer him up. Look, Dad, I made you pancakes. Look, Dad, I invented this super cool machine. But nothing worked, and Dad's situation got worse day by day. Then a few days later, I saw Mr. Jones on TV, and he was being awarded as the Scientist of the Year for Dad's research. It angered me so much that I decided I was gonna get Dad's revenge on him somehow. So I pulled up my socks and started studying harder. And luckily, I got into the same high school that was owned by Mr. Jones. On my very first day, I was on my way to the principal's office to submit some documents when some girl tripped me in the hallway. And I fell onto a guy ripping his t-shirt wide open. And the girl who tripped me started yelling at me. How dare you humiliate my friend in front of everyone? Get up and apologize to him now. What? You made me fall. If anything, you should be the one saying sorry. How dare you talk back to me like that? The guy suddenly stepped in.
That's enough, Rita. Let her go.
What? Why? He came forward and handed me all my documents and took that girl away with him. Later, I discovered that his name was Andrew and he was the football captain, and that mean witch was his friend Rita. And both of them were in the same class as me. Perfect. I went ahead and took a seat, but Andrew came and sat right next to me.
Hey there, I'm sorry about how my friend spoke to you earlier. She can be a bit intense.
Is that why she's shooting lasers at us right now?
Ignore her. Do you maybe want to hang out with us later?
I think I'll pass. I've got so much to catch up on. But for some reason, that guy wouldn't leave me alone. At the cafeteria, in the library, and even after school.
Hi.
What was his deal? Look, I don't know what you're up to, but I'd appreciate it if you...
I want to take you out on a date.
A what? Are you kidding me? You want to take this witch out on a date?
Rita, watch it.
Really? You want to side with this ugly duckling, Andrew? Fine, so be it. Gosh, this girl was crazy. But the kids at school were even crazier. The rumors of me dating the school's heartthrob were going viral. And as I entered the hallways, an egg came flying straight onto my face. Yikes! I rushed to the washroom to clean it, but Rita came suddenly from behind and pulled my hair. How can you even dream of dating Andrew when you know he's mine? I pushed her away, and before we knew it, we broke into an ugly catfight and ended up in bruises. I had to tell Andrew to get rid of those rumors now. So I went ahead to look for him on the playground. But then what I saw next shocked me. Mr. Jones was hugging Andrew after he won the football match, and that's when I realized Andrew was Andy, Mr. Jones's son, and my childhood friend. Holy freaks! For a moment, I felt so happy about Andrew, but then seeing Mr. Jones burned me on the inside. And Andrew's offer to date me was a perfect opportunity to get closer to Mr. Jones and ruin things for him just like he did for my dad. So I went ahead and pulled Andrew for a kiss in front of everyone.
Whoa, that was...
Awesome, I know. That's what you wanted, right? And that's what you get, boyfriend. After that day, Andrew and I started dating officially. We'd spend most of our time together and he'd make me laugh tons. It was a complete surprise to see him transform into this really cool and outgoing person, so different from how he was when we were kids. But of course, Rita fumed with anger seeing us together, and I couldn't help teasing her more. One time, I was working in the library after school when Andrew came and pulled me out of there. Hey, what are you doing?
Shh, it's a surprise.
We then rode to a hilltop outside the city, and everything looked so beautiful from up there. Just then, Andrew ran back to his car and brought a big cake lit with candles, and it made me teary-eyed seeing how much this guy cared for me.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, never better. I didn't even remember it was my birthday. It was then I realized I was really falling for him, but the thought of using him to get to his dad was kind of crushing my heart.
I have been wanting to tell you something, Hazel.
Before he could finish, my phone started ringing, and I was shocked to discover Dad was admitted to the hospital. Andrew asked his driver to immediately take us to the hospital, but I didn't want him discovering who I really was, so I asked him to stay back. Later, the doctors told me that Dad was quite ill and needed a lot of care to get well soon. I rushed to the nurse to inquire about the treatment and the expenses, but she told me everything was already taken care of. And it didn't take me long to figure out who'd do that. I left the hospital and saw Andrew waiting outside for me. Why'd you do that?
Why won't I? It's your dad, Hazel. And if you were in my place, you would have done the same.
No, I wouldn't. His dad was the reason my dad was so sick in the first place. And there was no way I was forgiving that man, even after what Andrew did for my dad. A few weeks later, Dad was much better and was sent back home. Andrew called me up later the same day and invited me for a party at his place. And that was perfect. Mr. Jones was apparently working on another big research project, and if I could get into their house and get my hands on it, it would be the perfect revenge. So I happily agreed. But when I got there, I was shocked to see Mom laughing and celebrating with Mr. Jones. I couldn't help hating her even more. After a while, when Andrew went away to get me a drink, I sneaked further into the house and found Mr. Jones's study. Bingo! I was going through some papers and documents there when suddenly the door flew open and I was shocked to see Mom standing there. Hazel, it's you, right? Oh, my daughter, what are you doing here? She ran to me and hugged me tight, but I pushed her away. Don't you touch me. You're not my mom. What are you saying? Then she looked at the mess I had created as I was going through all the papers, and the look on her face changed. What are you doing here, Hazel? I'm here to do the same thing that your lover, Mr. Jones, did to Dad. He stole Dad's research and took all the credit and money for it. With your help, Mom. What? Who told you that? That's a lie. Jones is my friend, not my lover, and he didn't steal anything. It was your dad who got greedy and tried to steal Jones's research and sell it. What? You're lying. No, I'm not. Clearly, your dad has been feeding you lies. This couldn't be true. I rushed out of that room, but Andrew was standing right outside the door, and judging by his face, I could tell that he heard everything. But I felt too ashamed to face him now, so I just stormed out of there, and Mom followed me all the way home, too. When we got there, I went straight to Dad and confronted him about everything. Tell your daughter the truth. And suddenly, Dad just broke into tears.
Oh, Hazel, forgive me, my daughter.
I can't believe it, Dad. All those years, you lied to me about everything, about Mom. How could you?
'Cause I love you, honey. When I realized I was gonna lose everything, I didn't want to lose you too,
So you decided to lie and ruin my life? All this time, I hated 2 innocent people and made it my life's mission to get revenge on them for ruining our happiness. I even hurt someone I really care about, all because of your lies, Dad. I can never forgive you, ever. I ran to my room crying, but Mom came there and comforted me. I always knew you loved your dad more than me, sweetie, and I just couldn't force you to come with me when you weren't ready to listen. But I shouldn't have given up on our relationship so easy. I'm so sorry. Oh, Mom, I'm sorry for hating you too without giving you a chance. I moved out with Mom and we shifted to a different city. She got me enrolled into a really good school and I reconnected with her all over again. A few months later at Christmas, I was decorating the house with my mom when I heard a knock on the door. I was shocked to see Andrew standing right in front of my eyes. What? What are you doing here?
Your mom invited me.
I still couldn't bring myself to look at him, so I turned around. But Andrew took my hand.
Listen to me, Hazel. It wasn't your fault. Your mom told me everything.
How does it change anything, Andrew? I hid the truth from you and dated you to hurt your dad. So you're supposed to hate me.
I can't, because I love you. I've always loved you, Hazel, ever since we were kids. And you weren't the only one hiding things. That day at school, when you fell and you dropped your documents, I saw your personal information, and I knew in an instant it was you. That's why I couldn't keep away from you.
You knew? Then why didn't you say anything?
Because I didn't want to scare you away after what happened to our dads. I wanted you to realize I actually loved you, and I know you do too. So please, stop running away from it.
I looked into his eyes, and I couldn't help but see the love for me in them. I have a unique skill that makes me popular with almost everyone I meet. When people come to me for advice, I'm able to help them achieve their goals. Making the varsity soccer team, asking out their crush, acing a big test. Somehow, I was always able to get them what they wanted. In truth, there was no magic to it. I was a good listener and tried to give the best advice I could. It always just seemed to work out. Eventually, it gave me this reputation for being a miracle worker. My friend Elaine thought I should be paid for it. You really should be charging for this. I like helping people. Hey, nothing wrong with getting paid for doing what you like. By the way, my boyfriend loved the birthday gift you suggested. And we're going to the restaurant you recommended later. Try the chocolate cake. Ironically, my own life was kind of a mess. My grades were good, but not great since I was so caught up with everyone else's problems. I didn't have a boyfriend, and in general, my future seemed both uncertain and scary. Not to mention, I had the most embarrassing dad in the world. A few years back, my dad fell in a manhole on the sidewalk and sued the city. He won so much money in the lawsuit that he quit his job in big tech. Now all he does is sit on the couch and watch YouTube videos.
You gotta see this video, honey. A baby panda sneezes and scares its mom.
I have school, Dad. You have fun, though. So, that was my home life. As helpful as I was to most people, I just couldn't seem to work the same magic for me or my dad. I don't think he even wanted me to be honest. He ignored every job posting I showed him and never left the house, no matter how hard I tried. It scared me to think that I might turn out like him someday. But I always felt better when I helped someone. At school, this really agitated girl stomped up to me in the hall. I talked to my mom about spending the summer in France, and she said no. I knew I should have asked my dad instead. Everyone says your advice is foolproof. Did you give me bad advice on purpose? What? No, of course not. I would never do something like that. Maybe you misunderstood what I told you? I did exactly what you said, word for word, and it blew up in my face. You're a fraud. I was stunned. This had never happened before. I tried to remember what my advice had been, but so many people came to me for help that the details were hazy. Shake it off, Tanya. It was upsetting, but just that morning, 3 people had approached me and said I was a lifesaver. This had to be a weird freak accident. It wouldn't happen again, right? But then later that night, Elaine called me crying. She and her boyfriend Joe had gone to the restaurant I recommended, but the server insulted Joe and they got into a fight. Joe almost got arrested. Why would you tell us to go to that place? The server was a criminal. Maybe he was new. The service was great last time I went. You ruined Joe's birthday. I don't have a crystal ball, you know. I'm a human being. I make mistakes like anyone else. Maybe your boyfriend shouldn't have punched out the waiter. Ugh, whatever, Tanya. Keep your advice to yourself from now on. Did you at least try the chocolate cake? I did. It was dry. What was going on? Had I lost my touch? If I couldn't help people anymore, then what was I gonna do? I guess I could try fixing my own life. That night, I dreamed that everyone who ever came to me for advice confronted me and accused me of ruining their lives. No matter where I turned, I couldn't escape. When I woke up, I knew something needed to change. If people only cared about me when I was solving their problems, maybe they didn't really care about me at all. You know what? Fine. You can all solve your own problems from now on. At school, I turned away anyone who asked for something. I didn't like saying no, but it got easier after a few times. During gym class, we were playing dodgeball when a boy approached me.
Hey, you're Tanya, right? I'm Matt. I heard you're a miracle worker.
I'm retired.
Could you make an exception? I'm trying to get my ex to take me back, and you're the only one who can help.
Trust me, you don't want my help.
What if we help each other? Like a trade? There's gotta be something you want too.
That was different. Not many people ever offered anything in return. Not that I expected them to pay me back, but it was nice to be asked. Okay, here's a challenge for you. I want to figure out what my thing is. I spend so much time giving everyone else advice that I've never had a chance to figure out my own goals. If you can help me do that, then I'll help you get your ex back.
Sounds like a deal to me.
Matt and I met after school to get started.
So what do you think I should try first? Send her a dozen roses? Write her a song and play it outside her bedroom window?
Do you want her to take you back or file a restraining order?
Then what's your great idea?
Why did you two break up anyway?
She said I don't pay attention.
I have some thoughts, but before I tell you, we're focusing on my thing first. Did you come up with any ideas? All he did was smile. Uh-oh, what was I getting myself into? Turns out, Matt had a whole day planned out for us. We explored cool architecture in the city like the Golden Gate Bridge, baked sourdough bread, volunteered at a local animal shelter, and even visited Alcatraz to see what a real prison was like. Matt was patient and a great guide throughout all our adventures. At the end of the day, we stopped at Pier 39 to grab some ice cream. I always loved seeing the sea lions flop around and bark at each other out on the bay.
So what do you think? Architect, baker, veterinarian, prison guard?
To be honest, I really don't see any of those things being my career. I had a lot of fun, though.
Good. I've got more planned for tomorrow.
What about your ex?
She can wait.
Hold on a second. Was someone prioritizing my problems over their own? I could get used to this. The next day, we did it all over again, except this time with brand new activities. We tried photography, fitness classes, and went on a ride-along in a police car.
Nothing yet?
No. I mean, I'm still having a good time, but I can't picture myself doing any of those things for the rest of my life. Maybe I'm being picky.
Hey, you gotta choose what's right for you. This is everything I had planned, but I can definitely come up with more.
You've done a lot already. Let's work on your goal for now. I want you to write a letter to your ex tonight, and tomorrow we'll go over it together.
You're giving me homework?
You'll survive. The next day, Matt shared his letter with me and I read it during lunch period.
Well, what do you think?
This is all about your feelings, your memories, your regrets. There's almost nothing about her. This could be about any girl.
I worked really hard on that.
You said yourself that she thinks you don't pay attention. This letter doesn't really prove otherwise. What do you like about her? Is she smart, empathetic? Does she tell funny stories? Matt had to think about it. I didn't understand why he found it so difficult.
She's a good big sister, and I like how she sings along to every song on the radio, even when she doesn't know the words.
That's more like it. Matt revised the letter. I hid around the corner and watched while he approached his ex to give it to her. She looked surprised, but seemed to appreciate the gesture. Finally, progress! More people came up to me that day to ask for help, but I kept turning them down. I even had to say no to a teacher. A football player got really mad when I refused to help him.
We all know you're not really retired. I saw you help that Matt kid. Guess you only help guys you like.
Excuse me? Who did this jerk think he was? It's not like that. Matt and I are helping each other.
So if I take you on a date, you'll help me too?
Suddenly, Matt appeared and shoved the football player into a locker.
Speaking of your little boyfriend, I'm not her boyfriend. Apologize to her.
Just then, I noticed Matt's ex. She looked at me like I'd stolen her boyfriend or something. I didn't stick around to see what happened next. I needed to get away. I'd never been so embarrassed in my life. Everything was such a mess. My recent advice had all backfired. Matt wasn't any closer to getting his ex back. I was fighting with my best friend, and I still had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. When I got home, my dad was snoring on the couch. For all I knew, he hadn't left that spot all day. Ugh! Before, I could at least feel proud about how many people I'd helped. Now, I didn't even have that. The next day at school, I decided to tell Matt our deal was off.
What? But what about our plan? You're gonna let some jerk football player push you around?
That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who's being treated like an outcast just for saying no to people. And our plan isn't working anyway. I haven't figured out my future, and you haven't gotten your girlfriend back.
I don't care about getting her back.
For a second, I almost thought I heard him wrong. Then what's the point of everything we've been doing?
I cared at first. I really did miss her, but I realized we broke up for a reason. If you want the truth, I'm having fun and I want to keep spending time with you.
I felt so confused. This was too much all at once. Then maybe just ask to hang out like a normal person. I thought you were helping me figure out my future.
Tanya, why are you so obsessed with your future? We're in high school. You don't have to figure it all out right now.
My dad threw away a great career and now he's a slug. People need a purpose. All I could think about the rest of the day was escaping. We had a big assembly that afternoon and I was considering skipping it and locking myself in my room. But why should I have to leave? They're the one acting like jerks. So in the middle of the assembly, I did something kinda crazy. I stole the mic. Almost every single one of you has come to me for advice. Did I ever say no before? Did I ever ask for anything in return? No. I did my best to help you all because I wanted you to be happy. But the second something goes wrong, or I decide to take some time for myself, what do you all do? You turn on me, talk behind my back, blame me for your problems. Now I know I was just being used. I handed the mic back to the teacher, and she awkwardly cued the cheerleaders to begin their performance. After school, the doorbell rang a bunch of times. I snapped at my dad while I stomped to the door. Don't get up. I'll get it.
Honey, you have to see this. A baby tiger pounces and scares the heck out of his mom.
Dad, those videos are super old. I opened the door and was surprised to find Elaine on the front steps. She was holding a chocolate cake as a peace offering. It was such a relief to see a friend that I almost cried. We ate chocolate cake on my bed and caught up. I'm sorry. It was totally unfair of me to act like what happened was your fault. All you've ever done is try to help me. And advice should be a two-way street. I hope you know you can come to me when you're struggling too. Want to see a video of a baby tiger? Maybe I didn't need to run away. I felt stronger with Elaine in my corner. The next day, the football player came up to me again. I tried going around, but he wouldn't let me.
Hey, it wasn't cool of me to say those things to you. I'm really sorry.
I have to admit, I didn't expect an apology from him. When I got to my locker, something even more surprising happened. It was filled with flowers and about 100 thank you cards. All day, students surprised me with gifts, cards, or sometimes just a hug. I guess my big speech at the assembly had gotten through to people. After school, Matt found me on the bleachers reading some of my cards.
You okay?
It hasn't been easy lately, but yeah, I'll be okay.
I never set out to trick you, you know. When I first asked for help, I thought I wanted my ex back. You helped me realize that we weren't right for each other.
You helped me realize something too.
I did? What?
That it's okay if I don't have it all figured out. It has to happen naturally. And maybe my dad will never go back to work, but I'm not him. I know I'll find my purpose someday.
So I guess we did help each other.
I guess so.
Maybe we could hang out sometime? Like normal people, instead of as part of some deal?
I'd like that. Things got a lot better after that. And I realized something else. That no one can give perfect advice 100% of the time. But that doesn't mean I should stop trying. I liked helping people. I was gonna keep doing it, even if sometimes I failed. The people who mattered most to me would be in my corner no matter what. And the times when someone told me I'd made a difference in their lives, no matter how small, made it all worth it.